All right. So what we were going on about last week was the some of the computer programming concepts. So like the page lifecycle, the classes, the variables, the parameters, the functions, the if and else conditions, and classes and page lifecycle. I can show you a bit more about the page lifecycle in on the what you call it in C# coding when we do in Visual Studio. Uh, the data types we went through, and basically the arrays, the loops, and then we stopped here with the HTML. So yeah, I'll go a bit more into detail with some of these things here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing I showed you guys, just recapping, was the if we go to JavaScript tutorial. And here we in the JavaScript we had what you call it many tutorials. Did any of you guys go through this? Going through any of these?
I've gone through the HTML,
The HTML.
but not the JavaScript. But HTML, it seems very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So
Well,
actually, HTML comes first. It gives you how to write a web page, like the home page and also other pages. So it's about HTML, and about the JavaScript, it's advanced. It's a step further, right? Is it right?
yeah. JavaScript. Okay. So JavaScript is basically the code behind the function, the button or the control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you know what you want the button to do. That JavaScript can what you call it takes care of that. Okay. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. The HTML comes first.
Yes, and also the CSS. Yes, the CSS.
The
Both
CSS
are,
is the style sheets. Yeah,
yes,
that
style sheet. It gives it formats, right? It gives colors and formatting type of coding, right? Is that right?
yes, the CSS is basically the design and the look and feel
Mm-hmm.
of the of the web page, you know,
Yes.
and all that stuff. So yeah, so just to recap, so HTML is basically all the controls that you're putting in on the form,
Mm-hmm.
and rendering on the form, or the um, especially the controls and the layout and things like that. And then what you call it, JavaScript is more the function related to the control, so like
Uh-huh.
drop down list or a
Uh-huh.
button or something like that.
All right.
And then CSS is the style sheet
Mm-hmm.
that you know, to the layout, the look and feel of the web page. Okay.
Web page. All right. All right.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we'll start off with. So I won't go through these much in details. I'll what I went through last week about variables, parameters. I'll define some things. I think parameters are the ones that was questioned last week about parameters, understanding parameters. I'll go through more, and regarding functions, I'll go through more with that. So the first thing I'll do, we'll start off with HTML. So we have HTML. So here is the HTML page we start off with. So here is our first test. Here is our first HTML page where we can create. So this is a very simple HTML. I'll start off with the Notepad++. I would recommend you guys to install this Notepad++. So this is Notepad++ here. If you wanted to download, you can go here in the Google. It's a free software. Notepad++. Okay, so you can download Notepad++ here and just install it on your computer and it'll start running. Okay.
Here I want to, sorry to interrupt you. Here I want to ask a question. There are different type of notepads. Is that right? Because in the video you share the link. It says just download Sublime text. Is that the same? It's also a notepad. What's the
Sublime.
difference?
I haven't used Sublime much, so I don't know much about it. But Notepad is the good thing about Notepad is it's what you call it. If you if I save this file, for example, if I let me just create a simple page, right? HTML, and I'll close it with a HTML, and I'll save it. File save. Just call this big 2. All right, I'll just save this as web page. Now we'll save it as a HTML format. HTML, save. Okay. Now you can see here it's got a bit of IntelliSense here. So if you go to if you type in what you call it, P1. See how you see that that IntelliSense come. So like what you call it, head or body. Do you get what I mean? So yes. I'll show you with a normal notepad. So if we go here with I'll just open a new notepad, and if we open it here, then we don't get that IntelliSense.
Suggestions. It gives you suggestions. Notepad++. It gives you suggestions.
Yeah. That's what IntelliSense is. So basically, what you call it? That's why you can use this notepad as well. This one here that I'm showing, but it's not. So you could write stuff here as head and body, and it won't. You got to write a lot of things manually here. Whereas if we go to this HTML, and if we write here head, and then we'll just write here close head, it does a lot of the part of the coding for you.
Oh.
The IntelliSense. Okay, so let's start off basic. So I just created this web page and I saved it as a .html file, webpage.html. Okay, so when you create a HTML file, you save the extension as a .html or sometimes .htm. Okay, so that's how you save it. Okay, so that's a basic what you call it, a basic web page. When you save it, you save it as HTML, and then you can do your coding within the HTML. So if where I saved the file was here, webpage.html. Now if I double click on it, it will open it in a browser. Okay, right now it's blank. You're not seeing anything. Okay, because I haven't put any code to it. Okay, so basically everything starts with a HTML tag here and a close HTML. Okay, so the difference between an open HTML tag and a closed HTML is this, what you call it? 1 second. Is this
Forward slash?
Forward slash, yeah. Okay.
Or
If I was to create a head tag, head, okay, and if I wanted to, that's an open tag, and if I wanted to create a closed tag, then I'll just add a forward slash head. Okay, and then I can do all my coding in the head tag between this open head and this closed head. Okay, so the HTML should always have an open tag here and a closed tag. It usually is you start off with HTML open tag and you end off with a closed HTML tag. Okay. So the two main things is the head. Within the HTML tag, you have the head tag. Okay. And then you have the body tag. All right. And we have a closed body tag. Okay. All right. So we have the open head open and head closed tag, and we have the open body tag and closed body tag. Okay.
Yep.
So if
someone is asking for permission to enter into the class, I think.
I can't see that person. I think she's already in here. Fatima Koja?
Yes.
Yes, I'm in. Okay.
I
wanted to just ask that in head, I've read that head is basically for the headings and body is the part where you start your coding. So, can you please illustrate what's the difference between head and body?
Yeah. I'll let you know. So body is more what you see on the form. Your controls, your layout, things like that. Head is more what is your like functions or like your what you call it, your title. So I'll show you. I'll give this a save. So just right click. I'll just click Control S to save. Now if you view the browser again, you shouldn't see anything. Now have a look where it says this thing here. See users my download. All right. Have a look at that carefully. Now, if I go back to here and add a title, all right, title. So there's an open tag and title, close tag. And if I write here, my first web page, and if I give this a save, if I refresh this, have a look at here. It says here, my first web page. Did you see that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's what you can do this my first web page. This title is nothing to do with the body. It's not what you're showing here. This is more related with the actual. So you can do like titles, or you can do like script reference and those type of things. I'll show you a bit more. I'll go more into the body to start off with. In the body, if you want to add a like a head, what you call it, a big header image. Oh, sorry, a header text, right? There's a thing called H, and then it goes H1 all the way to H6. So if you use H1, and we'll close that with H1. And if we write here, my web page, and if I save this and go back here, now you can see that my web page is showing this text. Okay, and like H1, it goes all the way to H6. So if you change that to H5. H1 is the biggest, but if you change it to H5, then the text will get smaller. Okay. All right. So that's the head, and that's the title, and that's the body. Okay. So I've discussed about the open close tags. We save the file as a .html file, so .html file there. Okay, the attributes. What are the attributes? Okay, so what we can do is okay, so I'll change this back to H1 so we can see clearly. Let's give it a refresh there. Now, if we wanted to change the color of this header, right? So what we can do is we can go here and add an attribute. So we have an attribute is this: when you add a like a style is an attribute that has an equal sign, right? And we just add double quotes in here, and then if we write here color red, okay. Let's give this a save. Can you see that? So that's an attribute. This thing here, the style, is an attribute. Another thing is you can add an ID. ID equals here, you know, h1.text. Usually we don't add IDs to headers. We usually add ID to control. Okay, but this is what an attribute is. You're adding an attribute to the h1 tag.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Moving forward. So
I have a question here. In the video, in the tutorial, the video you shared, the guy said that do not create your first web page on Internet Explorer. Try to create a web page on Chrome. But here, you are creating web page on Internet Explorer. So why he said that?
who said that? Who said that?
In the video you shared for the HTML.
Okay. Well, it's not a strict rule. Like you could use Chrome. You can use Internet Explorer. Sometimes it does show slightly differently on Internet Explorer, and sometimes it shows differently slightly on Google Chrome. I don't know if you guys have used any websites out there that if you open in Google Chrome, it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work, like a function. And if you open Internet Explorer, it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't work.
All right.
So you have these browsers issues. So yeah.
All right.
All right. So we have the head tag. So I've discussed about the head tag, which is this tag here, the head tag. It contains scripts and functions. Okay. So another thing is, if I wanted to create a script here, all right. So script would be a function that you add to the web page. So if you go here, script. Let me close this with script. And if you write a function here, JavaScript function, alert, hello world. Okay. Alert is a simple alert that will open a pop-up box and then it will display hello world. So if I save this, go back to my web page. There you go, hello world. As soon as the page load, it went to hello world. Okay, so that's a script. Okay, now you can add a style in here as well. Style, and we'll close it with a style. Now this is CSS, all right? So this script is like JavaScript here. This code, this alert is JavaScript. This style is CSS, okay? So we have the open and close tag. Now if we go here, we'll take out this style here. We'll just take this out and we'll hit Control S. So it should change it back to black text here, my first web page. Now if we went to style here and if we said all H1 what you call it, when you have open bracket, close bracket, H1 what you call it, the all the H1 color is green. Okay, so refresh this. Wait, something went wrong. Okay, H1. Oh, wait, it's not in the style.
You're writing in the script.
Yeah, in the style.
Should be in the style.
Okay. All right, H1. I think we'll do that. Close bracket. Give it a save. There we go. Green. Okay. So every time I write a H1, so this is a breakpoint. So this is like a line, adding a space. If I do another H1, where's H1? G'day, mate. All right, every time it sees a H1, it'll apply that style. So that's CSS basically. That you're applying styles to the actual text. Okay, so that's a script tag and a style tag. Okay, so that's what you can add in the head. So as you can see, the head, it's doing more to the web page. It's like a support layout to the web page, and the body is the actual control to the actual web page. Okay, so if we go back here, so I discussed about links and stuff. Now you can also, if you wanted to do something like, if you wanted to add a style, what you call it, you can add a style, how would you say, on another CSS web page, on a CSS, sorry, on a CSS file, and then you can link that to here. Okay, so let me quickly do that. So so we have our, sorry, we have our web page here. Okay, so what I can do here is I can go here, right click, or I can just go directly in here. I can go File, New File. I'll just copy this H1 here. I'll make this blue, and I'll give it a save file, save as. So I'll just call this your CSS file. There we go, cascading file sheet. We'll call this my style.css. Okay, so now this is in a different file. Now if you wanted to link that here, so if we take out this code, the H1 green, and then it'll be showing as black. Now if we wanted to reference that style sheet, that CSS, which we saved here, in here, so what we will have to do, I think it's a link reference. Link. Let me just Google it quickly. So, CSS reference. Okay, we'll add this link here. Add that code here. href, and we'll change that to the last one to my style. I noticed there's a typo here, so let me just, 1 second. Let me just change this my style there. All right, so if and I'll just open this in Notepad++ again. Okay, so I'll just copy that and I'll paste that here, hr reference mystyle.css, and I'll save it. Hopefully the color should be blue now. There you go. Did you see that? Guys, did you see what I did?
Yep.
Okay. And you can also do that with JavaScript. So you can research a bit about the JavaScript, how to do that with JavaScript. But I'll give an example with the CSS. So you can add a link reference, and you can also add a script reference in the JavaScript as well. Do you guys want me to show you the JavaScript, or?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so this hello world, we'll take this out. Yeah. We'll give it a save, so it shouldn't pop up anymore. All right, it doesn't pop up. So now if we wanted to create a new file, new, and we'll just put a alert hello world there. We'll save that as a JS file, JavaScript file. So we'll call this my JS. Okay, now if we wanted to reference that, so we'll just say hello world, hello Australia. Okay, so if we go back to the web page, now if we wanted to add a reference to that script, so what we'll do is we'll go here and let me just see script reference. Script reference. Yeah. There we go. Script source. If we add that here, script source, and we'll change that web page name to my.js. All right. And if we refresh this web page, there you go. Hello Australia. All right.
Yep.
So that's how you do a script reference and a link reference. Okay. So then we go with the body tag. What you call it? I already discussed about the body tag here, so I won't go about the body tag. It just contains all your layout, your text, your controls. Your style attribute. So I think I showed the style attribute before here with the H1, and we took out the style attribute and we added it here in the styles, and then I took that out from here and I put it in the mystyles.cs. So I've done that. The H1 I showed. The div. The div is another one. So if you wanted to add what you call it, a div. So a div is like a kind of like how would you say? A div is more like a container. You can put a container of objects in there. So if you go here, div, I'll show you. So let me just take out all this stuff. And let me just take out this alert as well. Okay. So usually you start with the body, you'll start maybe with a div, and close div, and then Oh, actually, what I'll show you here, I'll show you one thing here. So if we had a H1 and a H1, sorry, I close H1, and we'll just write here head 1, and if we give this a save, so there's our head 1. Now if we on the bottom run away H1 head 2, give that a save, we'll see that head 1 and head 2. Okay, but if we wanted to, how would you say, make a distance between H1 and head 2, or something like that. So if we add this in a div, we can have an attribute here called ID. We'll call this header, or we'll just call it div header or something like that, right? And we'll close the div. And we can add this div here, and we'll add another div called div content. And we'll just close that div. If we give this a save, it won't do anything. But if we wanted to add a, how would you say, a border, for example. So in the div, where we got div header, right? Then the div header, we wanted to add a border. Okay, so if we go to my styles here, okay, and if we go here, if we want to reference the ID, we go dot. I think it's hash div header. And then if you write border, I think 1 pixel. And border style. I think solid. Let's see if that works. Let's give this a refresh. Did that do anything? No. Border width. No. Let me just quickly Google it. Obviously, Google is your best friend, so if you don't know anything, go CSS. So border style dot in. If I go back here and here, just add that there. Let's see if that works. Let me add a class here. You can also add a class. ID is just for the specific control, like this div here, and this div will have separate IDs. Okay, but a class can be referenced to many times. So we call this here div. We'll just call this here. I'll just call this here my class to start off with, and this can also be my class. Okay. So if I go here in the style sheets to reference a class, you'd go dot my class, and I won't create a border because I'm having issues with border. But if I wanted to create a, for example, I'll get rid of this H1. If I want to create a color, for example, right? So if I go here, color purple, I'll give this a save. It's not referencing. Let me say here, my class, dot my class, color purple. I don't know why. Wait, let me just close this again and open it again. Yeah, it's purple now. You see, I think it wasn't refreshing. You just guys see that?
Yes.
All right. And if you wanted to apply it to the class level, you do purple here. If you wanted to apply it to the actual ID level, you can do div header. Let's try border now. Hopefully it should work. You do a hash div header, and let's go border style dotted. Let's see if that works. There you go. See? Okay, so that's what you can do with the div. You can add more controls and more functionality towards that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So let's moving on to the next one. We've got a paragraph tag. So if we just wanted to add a paragraph here, we'll just we can add a paragraph here. So this is my first sentence. And let me just see that here. Okay. Then we have the div. I already explained the list, unordered list. So if you want to add an unordered list, I'll just add a break line, which is a space. So I'll show you what a break line is. If I create another P here, then this is my second line. I'll give this a refresh. This is my second line, right? Yeah, if I wanted to add a break line, I'll just separate. I like to do. We'll go back here. So that adds another line. Okay, so that's a break line, and then the unordered list. So if we create an unordered list, so if we add another break line, and if we create an unordered list UL, and we'll close that UL, and then we'll just write, and inside the UL we'll have the LI, which is a list, and we'll close this LI, and we'll just call this item 1. Item 2, item 3. Okay, give this a save. There you go. It's our unordered list. Okay. All right. And now the controls. Or you can also use span tabs, span tags for the label. So what I'll do here is I'll just get rid of this.
Are there ordered lists as well?
Unordered list. But it's usually this is what you use. Ordered list. This is what we usually use. There might be like a CSS ordered list. I usually use an unordered list.
Ordered list, I think it's just OL. You just use OL for the coding.
Yeah, probably. It's loading. Why is it loading? Oh no, something wrong. My internet's playing up. Okay. Yeah, you're probably using OL or something like that. And go from there. Okay. So I'll what you call it? Yeah, I'll just get rid of this. Right. So we've got an empty body tag now. Now if we wanted to add a span tag. So if we like, for example, if you wanted to do, if you were creating a registration form, so we go div. And we wanted to add a what you call it, a registration form. So we wanted to use here first name, right? And then you can add your control. I'll add my control later, but if we write first name here, all right, we've got first name. And if we wanted to add that in a span, and we give an ID, again, it's a bit like a head, the H1. So if we did the H1 example, head color blue. Then we'll just close the span. That's one thing. My computer's playing up a bit. Oh no, ID, sorry, I should have had style. Style, color blue. Then it changes that to blue. Okay. Now, if you wanted to add a control next to it, let's make a simple like a part of a registration form. So the controls. First, I want to show you. Also, we have a form tag we use here. So if we wanted to, this was an old way of doing things where you use a form tag. You still use a form tag, and if you wanted to add like a post or something, I'm not sure much about the form tag. Here, hope this works. Yeah. So with the form, so HTML form tag. So the form tag, what it does is it has the action and it has the method. So this is basically when you submit the form, it'll perform this action and the method will be, I think, get or post. I don't want to go too much into this because this is not the way we do things in C# now. We do it different ways of how to submit a form. Okay, but this was one way in the past. You can investigate about this. All right, and then you would have a submit button, input type submit, value submit. I don't want you to get confused here. I'll show you what this is. If you hit, this is a submit button, and you can submit the form, and then it'll just say it'll submit the form in the background. Use the PHP coding. PHP is another web page. Sorry, PHP is another coding language that we use. But I don't want to go too much into details. It'll just confuse you guys. But this is what a form tag is used for. I won't get too much into it. But yeah, that's the form tag. Now we have the controls. The controls is the main one. So for the first name we have here, and if we want to add a control, the way we add a control is we write input, okay, type, text, okay, because this is a text box. Give an ID. ID, we call it here txt first name. All right, txt stands for the text, and then first name. Give it a proper ID. And I think that's about it. And we can close this. We can either close this and with an input tag like that, or we could just go here. So if I was to do that, I'll just save this and refresh this. We got our text box here. Or if I wanted to do this, put that there, that also closes the tag as well. We have a text box there. Okay. So we could do it this way, but just to be on the safe side, I'll just do it this way. Close input, and we have our text box there. Okay, so the first name and a text box. Okay. So we have so this is an example of what you call it. So we'll put div. We can call this ID first row and div ID second row. We'll just go here, last name, and we'll just add another input type txt, last name. Okay, so we give this a refresh. It's added the last name. Okay, so what you call it now, the next part I want to show you was a drop down list. Okay, so if you wanted to create a drop down list, so I'll just go here. So if I go here, HTML drop down list. This is what you use as drop down list. Select here, and you got the options, tags within the select. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. So we have another div. And we'll add this drop down as cars. Okay. So if we give this a refresh, we can see the cars in the drop down list. Okay. You all got that?
Yep.
Right? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what you call it? If you wanted to add another option in the, so if I'll just go here, like if we just write here cars. And if we wanted to add another option here, called Hyundai, and give this a refresh, and we got Hyundai showing there. Okay, so that's a drop down list. Okay, the next one we have is radio button. So I'll quickly go in here, just right here. Radio button. As you can see, Google's got everything. You know, you just got to Google it, and you get all your code from there. And you know, so yeah, here's your radio button. Okay, so if we just input type radio, so the name should be the same, but the value is different. Okay, so if I'll just copy this. Just go here, div ID. Div. We'll add a gender. Okay, we'll give this a save. And we've got the gender here. Okay, now if we select any, so you know, we could select so the way this works is the way it's pairing things, like you can only select one, is from this name gender. If I was to change this to gender anything, A, B, C, and give this a refresh, then it won't be part of that group anymore. Okay, so only female and others part of that group, gender. Okay, so this name with this what you call it value has to be the same, gender, and gender to belong to the same group. Okay, so you can change this here. You can call this what you call it, just for testing purposes, Bob. And if you refresh here, it shows Bob. Okay, so that's the input. That's the input drop-down list control.
If we add a break after gender, so it will be a gap, because on the web page.
Yeah. If you add a break here. I'm not sure.
Yep. No.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So we'll put that there. Okay. The next part is the checkbox. All right, so we just go here. We'll just Google HTML checkbox. Okay. All right, the HTML checkbox is this thing here. Okay, so checkbox only has one item. So we where is it? Sorry. Yeah. So the checkbox will add another div. Div ID. Fifth row. Close div. Add a checkbox equal to vehicle. All right, and if we go here, we refresh vehicle checkbox. All right, so this is how you do input type checkbox. Give it a name and a value. Okay. And what's next? The button. Okay, the button is one of the most used ones. Obviously, without a button, you can't submit a form. So, so the button goes like this. Div ID or something like that. Okay. So we'll write the input type button given ID btn submit, give it a value submit form, and I think that's about it. I'll give this a refresh. And you got your button here. Okay. So this value submit form. If we change this, the value, call it ABC here. And if we do a refresh, the value is ABC. Okay. Now, if I wanted to add a function to this button, okay. If I wanted to add a function, and if I wanted to do, like you can obviously grab all these values and do a submit and add that value to the database. That's in a real life scenario. But if I wanted to do something like like a simple function, like if I just write here on click, and if I just write here alert submit form. If we go refresh here and click on it, alert submit form. So we're giving it the button a function to do this. Okay. So if we wanted to put that code in the JS file here, I think the way to do this would be calling a function. So if I was to create a function, if I was to go function submit form, okay, if I was to go here, alert, G'day Australia. Okay. So this my.js file is already linked to the submit forms, and if I go here and change this to submit form, remember I referenced the JS file here, the JS file here. Okay, so the JS file is linked to this form. If I just go here, submit form, give this a refresh. G'day Australia. You guys saw that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And I could do more things to the form. All right. So if I want to go here, if I want to display this value here, for example, the first name, right? I can go here. I can create a variable here called var first name, which equals here document. Actually, I've got a Google it. JavaScript get value of Xbox. Okay. Over here, document.getElementID.value. Okay, so we'll go here, document.getElementID. The ID value was this txt first name. Paste that here. Right, var first name equals the value of the first name, and we wanted to alert the first name. Okay, let's see if that works. If we click on submit form, nothing's showing. All right, but if we write here Donald Trump, you can see Donald Trump. Okay, so that's how you add a function. Now, a parameter, what's a parameter? Okay, a parameter is, let me just quote this out. A parameter is this thing here. If you wanted to pass a value inside a function, I will just call this here, we can call this anything. We can call this here, like, I'll just call this here my value, but you can call this, what you call it, you can call it, you know, Bob the Builder. You can call it, you obviously give it a proper name, but you can call it whatever you want, okay? So we'll call it my value here, and we'll give this a save, right? And let me just get this code here, alert. Okay, I'm just quoting this out. To quote it out, I just added 2/ and quotes out the code. Okay, so I'll submit for my value. So if I was to refresh this, I think I'll be getting an error here. Yeah, it won't be doing anything, okay, because it's expecting a parameter value, my value, right? So in the code here, where we did the submit form, I'll give it a value here. The value of my value would be John Howard. Okay. And if we do a refresh here, submit form, that work? John Howard. All right, I'm going to do an alert. Okay. Alert my value. Give this a refresh. John Howard. See that? Okay, so if we go back to the code, so if I change this to of the builder, give this a refresh, and that, okay, so this value here, Bob the builder, is getting passed in this what you call it, this parameter here, and then it's doing an alert. Okay, so if you want to add more than one parameter, so if we just change this, we'll call this here value 1, value 2, right? So you add a comma, and then you add the next parameter value here. So if we go here, var total value equals here value 1, value 1 plus value 2, and if you wanted to alert the total value, all right, so the value 1, so now there's expecting two parameters, value 1 and value 2. So the value 1 will be here, let me just go back to JS, yep. So the value 1 will be here 3, and value 2 would be here separate with the comma 9. So we're expecting the value to be 12, right? 3 plus 9 equals 12. 12. You get it? And then if you want to add more parameters, you can add another column here called value 3. I'll quickly show you value 3. And, right, save. And if we run it now, we're going to expect an error because the submit function is there, nothing is happening. Okay, no means like there's an issue because it's expecting 3 parameters, 1, 2, 3, and here we're only passing 2 parameters, 3 and 9. So if we pass another one called here 1, okay, so 3 plus 9 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So we'll go back to the form, we'll give this a refresh, 13. Okay, so that's adding functions to the form and going from there. Now, if you wanted to add this function directly on the web page, you just copy this, right, and you can add it within the script tag. Where's the script tag? The script, and you can add the function within the script tag like this. Okay, and then you can reference it here, right? Obviously, 2 functions cannot have the same name, so we'll just call this here submit form 2, and we'll call this here submit form 1. So yeah, the submit form 2 will make this times, whereas the submit form 1 will make this plus. So if we go here and we just change this to submit form 1, give this a refresh, 13, okay, 3 plus 9 plus 1, 13. Now if we change this to submit form 2, which is referencing this JS file, what? Hold on. Form 2. just do a minus here, minus. Okay. This refresh. -7. Okay. Got it? Everyone's good. Everyone understood that? Or at least try to understand.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the next part is the button and adding. So there's what you call it. Add the CSS instead of the style attributes. I've added that CSS link, which is this this link here, the CSS link, the style link. So it's linking to an external CSS, which is this one here. Okay. And CSS library. Okay, now you can use CSS libraries out there like Twitter Bootstrap. Twitter Bootstrap is famously used. So if you wanted to use Twitter Bootstrap, what you do is just go here. Just go here. Twitter Bootstrap CDN. All right, and you just add this link and script reference to the Bootstrap in here. So we'll add it here. All right. The source. Forget. I don't know what this integrity stands for. That's basically the source. It's linking to the CSS on the web page. Okay. Give this a I'll save this and have a look at the form now. Actually, I'll open it in a new browser. There we go. Okay, it's a bit bigger. It's changed the style sheets a bit. Okay, and you can use this the Twitter Bootstrap styles. So if you wanted to what you call it, add a class in here. This you can use specific class here. So if we go here, button, we go here. Class BTN. Okay, you can use the special classes you can that you can use in Twitter Bootstrap. So if we go here, BTN, you can see here it's changed here. If we go here, BTN, I think it's danger. There. You can see this button looks a bit more fancy than this button here. Okay, so that's the Twitter Bootstrap. You can research more about it if you want to look about the Twitter Bootstrap. You can Twitter Bootstrap tutorials, and you get a whole bunch of things here. Okay, you can start learning Twitter Bootstrap and go from there. You can create a responsive web page. A responsive web page is on the computer. It will be showing as a full screen. But if you want to show that same web page on a mobile phone, it'll what you call it? It'll size it down to a mobile phone, so it looks like a mobile phone app kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, you can play around with it here in Twitter Bootstrap. So what you call it? Grids, images, tables. All right, you can create tables and do things here. I'll show you here. So we have a table. We have a table here. It's using the class container, and there's a table here with the class table. Okay, and it's showing here. Now, as soon as I take this class table out and run it now, it's showing like this. Can you see it? See the difference? So just by adding this class table is reserved for the Twitter Bootstrap, this CSS. It's showing like this. Okay, obviously this looks much neater here than the what you call it. With Twitter Bootstrap, it looks much neater. Okay, and then you can test and play around with all this stuff in Twitter Bootstrap. Okay, so that's Twitter Bootstrap. Okay, I showed you the link reference to Twitter Bootstrap. So the link reference to Twitter Bootstrap is here. The link reference. Okay, you just got to copy the CDN code and that I showed you on the website, the CDN, which was here, I think it was this CDN. Okay, you add it here, and then add script function. So I showed you the script function, alert, add reference to text box in JavaScript. So I showed you how to show text box values in JavaScript. So document get element by ID, and you put the value of the ID name. So the ID name here, which is like what's it called? TXT last name, TXT first name. Okay, things like that. The parameter values. Sorry. Okay, F12. Now I want to show you F12. Now if you look here, now this is for developers use this. If you push the button F12, you get this this screen appearing here. Okay, in the F12, you can, if you want to find out what ID this value is, you can go to the DOM Explorer, click on this thing here, the select element, and then click here, and it'll show you the ID. Okay, so if you guys are coding on on a web page, right, and you want to see the value of this ID, you just click here and you get the ID name. Okay. All right. Parameters. I showed you what parameters are. Variables. Yeah, I'll just ignore that. I've showed you some examples of that. JavaScript library reference. So I showed you JavaScript library reference here, which was where was it? Here, script. My JS reference. Also with Twitter Bootstrap, there's another script reference here. Okay. And all right, credit card library. Okay, I don't know what that is. Yeah, so I've basically covered everything. Most of the things here on that I wanted to show you about HTML, script, and CSS and JavaScript. Okay, next week we can go on to SQL. Now, before leaving you guys here, I want you guys to install 3 things. Okay, one is this Notepad++. Okay, so Notepad++. I'll show you guys again how to install Notepad++. So we go Notepad++. This is Notepad++. Okay, to install that. Then to install Visual Studio, this is the programming where you do the C# coding. Now there's a community version, which is the free version of Visual Studio. And I want you guys to install this next week for next week's class. All right. So You can create new projects in Visual Studio. I'll go more into detail next week about this. So to install Visual Studio, you just go here. Visual Studio Community. It should be for free. You should be able to download it for free and install it for free. Okay. So get Visual Studio Community, free download. Don't get these other ones. These cost money. The professional, the enterprise, right? Usually the Visual Studio Community is good enough, right? It takes a while to install, but if you want to, you know, follow the next class, it's good to install these. And the next one is SQL Server Database. So this is the, I've got the SQL Server Database here. It's just loading. Okay, so this is the SQL Server database, and you can create your database here, and you can create your tables here, and go from there. Okay, so I'll be doing some intro on that. So to install SQL Server database, SQL Server obviously costs money, but if you install SQL Server Express, so SQL Server Express 2017, you can download SQL Server Express and you can install. Okay, and also install SQL Server Management Studio here, which is called SSMS for short. This is SQL Server Management Studio. Once you install the SQL Server, it will prompt you that if you want to install SSMS, which is SQL Server Management Studio, and then just say install that as well, and go from there. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Guys?
I think we need practice, so after that we will be able to ask questions.
Yeah. Next lesson I'll go through more with .NET, C# and Visual Studio, and SQL coding. That's connecting with the database and going from there. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, before we're leaving, I just need to mention, like, I attend this class a bit late, so can you put like update the video or whatever, like I'll go through?
Yeah, sure. I'll post this video to YouTube. Sorry about last week. I had some personal details in my video, so I took it off. But this time there'll be no problems. Inshallah, I'll post this video, and we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, because I didn't know what's happened today, because I woke up a bit late, so I didn't know. But yeah, if you upload the video, I'll go through. Thank you so very much.
No, that's okay. That's all right. Anything else, anyone? Anyone? All right. So I think that's about it. And with the wrap up of the day, I want to share a hadith or a practice where before I started praying, I didn't like work that much. Work was very much getting up early in the morning, getting lazy and all that stuff. But ever since I started praying, like, I had this concept of working for Allah. Like, I started working for Allah, making my niyat, oh Allah, I'm going to work for you, for your pleasure. So, the money is a number 2 or 3 thing in my life, but working for the love of Allah, You know, to if he, for example, you know, like what my grandmother told me is that when a person goes out for work and he does work, he will angels will go and Allah will order angels to praise this person, saying that this person is going out working and earning money for the family. You know, obviously halal money, and then therefore I encourage all you guys to work for the love of Allah. After I started working for the love of Allah, I love work. I what you call it? I even want to work after I retire, and I enjoy working for the love. Any good action, you know, like exercise, you know, eating healthy, what you call it? Studying, taking care of the family, studying for the kids, praying, working, studying. You know, getting knowledge. Anything good you can think of, make the niyat for the love of Allah. So you know you can you know, like even this course, I'm doing this course for the love of Allah, so I can teach you guys, I can give you guys knowledge, and go from there. Cool.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Thank you so very much. Yeah.
No problems, guys.
Thank you, Murtaza bhai.
Inshallah, we'll see you next Sunday. Cool.
Inshallah.
Next Sunday. Yeah. Thanks. All right.
Bye.
Walaikum.
Walaikum salam.